Sevat Nemnigis Kova Migizi, Kineo, let the given again, Gagi Pen Khanet Dimishomas, or Sean Kut, Zergia, Baba Bang Sevat, Kevin Archit made up, Nigavat, Bima Khana with the stem on yon, where we could even. Army got you on Baba Bang Sevat. Anish Namino give a Bombay to what Batino give no marking again a window, everything is away. However, they must go coming in and the vision span out the issues or say on hood, away my gun, die now. Our station is Bombay to us, you had up in the Obama, I go to Sam on where we could win. Oh, me what you want, Bombay to us. Anish Namino, get the gun, but Nino, give it all. Walking again a window. Uma, but Nino, that now, but this is what you want you to speak to our book, can I get meet you at? We will give in on this year, ma, with the guns in the adapting what? Where we might put the stem on you on, where we could do it. Miss Woman, ma, with the gun, you will send them on. Islamino, the Shamsman, got the what, put in no music. My opinion, give you jab, compared up in the year. But you them getting in, give it to me. I'll give me meaning goes it the way. I now will be much you in. Up to Gavin, that may have up in our where we're not going to stand mommy on, where we could do it. Oh, Miss Woman, making no valuable stand them on. And into me up in our take where. As I was standing me go on to me up in on where we walk on of face it a sweat to us. On this namino organism senat can I give up me work situate. You will give in hey you will send you to me up in the gate where we walk on of the same on one. Where we could do it. Oh, Miss Mom and the Kenny. Hey, you will stand me go on to walk in the one where we walk on he's a sweat to us. Miss Mom and the Kenny no more. Hey, you will send the month. Can I get home? I'll eat the month. Where you go to me up, you got there. Hey, you will stand me go on. Ah, Miss Mom and the Kenny no more. Hey, you will stand me go on. Oh, me what you want. It's a good one having you go. Or they can do them. Oh, me watch. Me watch. Me watch. Me watch. Thank you.
Oh, you watch.
Good.
We watch.
Good, Gene.
No, I'll smoke my pipe.
Bonjour, everybody. As you can see, we've started with Invocation with our spiritual advisor, Jean Goodsky. I'd like to welcome you all to the meeting this morning. Jean, did you want to explain after you smoke your pipe what you said in Invocation? We'll wait for him to get done.
This must have complete. Hello? Hello?
Did we lose Jean? Okay, all right, we'll get started. Bonjour, good morning, everybody. I think we lost Jean on the phone, so we know he's smoking his pipe for us and hoping that we have a good day today and that we started things out in the right way. With that, I'd like to welcome you all to the special RTC meeting, December 2nd in Nett Lake. And we have had our invocation already, so I will call the meeting to order. Roll call. Wickel,
Kathy Chambers,
here.
David Morrison,
Here.
Travis Morrison,
Here.
Shane Drift,
Here.
Peter Boney.
Here.
Okay, next we have approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
I have none. No.
Okay, if not, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda.
Move.
Moved by David, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Chief, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, silent, motion carried. Next, we have the special meeting minutes from November 4th of 2020 in Nett Lake. I do have an update on a part that Shane had mentioned in the minutes with regards to, he asked if the band members in Bemidji could be included when food boxes are given out. And just an update on that, letters were sent out, actually, I think they're going out today. Those elders in Bemidji area, Red Lake area, Bena, the Mountain Iron area, Virginia, or Cook, Store. Flyers are going out today, and these are for the off-reservation elders. Food boxes will be given out on December 9th. And in Bemidji, it will be at Target at the back of the Target parking lot. And then in Mountain Iron, it's at the community center, the Bois store, and the dam. So watch your mail for these flyers coming. We did have to set up a site in Bemidji, and on the flyers is contacts for the individuals that will be bringing the food to the elders in Bemidji area and off reservation. The reason it's for elders only is because it was a specific grant, collaboration of two programs for elder services, and the stipulation in the grant was that it had to be elder specific. So it is for food boxes for our off-reservation elders, so watch for that on December 9th. And if you have any questions, you can call the tribal government building here at 218-757-3261. That's just an update on the, I'm so used to doing my videos, sorry. That's just an update on the minutes there. So that's all I had for the minutes.
Regarding the minutes, on page 5, where we talked about approving the agreement with Dave Dans to prepare the grant application for the Indian House and Block grant, I think at the next meeting, we should give our band members an update on where we're at with this.
Yep.
So just to keep them in the loop.
Yep, good idea, Shane.
Yep.
We will do that. I believe the grant application is due this month, Robbie?
Yeah, I want to say it's on the 11th or the 12th. I can't remember the date.
That'll work perfect for the next meeting. Then we'll know exactly what's what we're applying for in that. I know I did sign the letters of intent to apply for the Indian Housing Block Grant. So good. We will put that on the agenda, Shane.
Okay.
Any other questions on the minutes or comments? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the November 4th, 2020 meeting minutes.
I'll move.
Who was that, Trav?
Yep.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
by me.
Second by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Introduction of new staff.
First, we have Wendy Deathridge. It might take them a second here to get her on here. So,
Oh, there she is.
Can see her, this guy.
I see her name.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Wendy.
Hello,
Welcome.
thank you.
And
Welcome
Wendy, what
aboard.
position did you take?
I'm sorry, what?
Your position?
I am the director, the branch director for the Boys and Girls Club in Nett Lake.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to have the opportunity.
Thank you too. Good luck.
Thank you.
okay, next we have Ryan Deegan Goodsky. Sorry.
Hi, Orion.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Well, congratulations. And what position did you take, Orion?
I took the full-time YDP at the Vermilion Boys and Girls Club.
Wonderful. And you've worked there before, so we know what a good job you do there. Welcome back.
Yep, thank you.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, congratulations.
Happy to be back. So
And then that's all I got right now.
Okay, good. Great. Okay, next we have the consent agenda. And so I will read that off for everyone. Because we had to cancel our last meeting due to the passing of a tribal member, our consent agenda is quite long. Consent agenda consists of 1, approve to extend the safe shelter program from November 15th to November 30th, 2020. Approve the contract addendum to the MB Customs Development LLC. Approve the request from Willie King to sole source a water heater from Radotich Incorporated for the community center in the amount of $5,490. Approve the temporary remote work agreement and the temporary remote work policy. Approve the request from Jaime Burdick to sole source fencing from Century Fence Company in the amount of $5,470 for the police department. Approved holiday hours to add November 25th off at noon, November 26th off all day, November 27th off all day, added December 24 off all day, December 25 off all day, and January 1st off all day. Adopted resolution 62, 2021, Vibe communication boards for the Nett Lake School. Adopted resolution number 63-2021, Vibe communication boards for the clinics. Approved the request from Randy Long for an HVAC upgrade for the tribal government at a cost of $81,745. Approve the engagement letter with RSM for staff augmentation services. Adopted resolution 64-2021, approve the purchase of the automated temperature screening equipment to be installed at various access points at public buildings on the reservation. Approve the fiber optic system construction management agreement between Bois, Forte and CTC Communications for the fiber to the home build out. Approve the schedule of values, clinic, additional services and change order proposal. Approve the request from Louise Isham to sole source 819 Elder Visa gift cards from the credit union in the amount of $33,122. It's a $35 gift card plus a $3 fee per card. Approve the request from Travis Vaki to sole source 76 laptops for the education program. Approve the request from Dan Milbridge and Sue Larson to purchase dental digital scanners. Approve to extend the Bois Forte COVID-19 Energy Assistance Program to December 11, 2020, or until the funds are expired before that date. That is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move.
Moved by Shane. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Chief. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, silent, motion carried. Okay, Rob.
Okay, next we have Pam Hughes with two of them here. We have a request to be granted access to enter New Moon information for MHFA port. Morning, Pam.
Morning, Pam.
Morning. Okay, so my first request is that I would like to have the council's approval to give me access to the port for Minnesota Housing Finance Agency. Teresa had given me the password, the username and password, I think back in September, but I didn't have access to the actual site where I need to do it. So I had sent a message to Judith Leatherwood, who kind of is one of our contact people for Bois Forte. And she had said that for security reasons, she could not give me that access, and that only the owner or Teresa Morrison had it. So what I'm asking is to be given access to it, as that's where we do our TIC forms. I think it's that tenant income certification forms for new people moving in. And we have 2 people waiting to move in, and we can't move forward because we can't determine their rent. Okay. So there's a lot of things that are done within that port. So I would need access to it until we have a property manager.
Mm-hmm. And Pam, just to back up a little bit, the reason that Pam is requesting this data and information is before D.W. Jones used to be our property manager for the New Moon Housing Project. And they are no longer our property manager. So we're in the process of looking for a new property manager, but that means that we still need to continue providing the services and getting tenants in there and doing the proper documentation and reporting. So this would allow her to get those tenants in the units. So any questions? If no questions, I'll call for a motion to approve access for Pam Hughes to enter New Moon information into the Minnesota Housing Finance Port. And Pam, could we just put Pam Hughes or her designee in case you're unavailable?
Yes.
Can someone else do that for you too?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I can't have Charmaine do it as the caretaker because okay. Eric from Minnesota Housing said she can't cross over those lines of being the tenant service coordinator, caretaker, and then entering into the management system.
We can maybe say Pam Hughes or the property manager.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Okay. Because we are looking for a property manager for the New Moon Housing.
Yes. Yep.
Do we have a motion to approve that access for Pam and/or the property manager to enter New Moon information into the Minnesota Housing Financing Agency port?
I'll move.
Moved by David. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Chief. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Okay, Pam?
Well, now I'm asking for approval of the amendment for our SOAR grant. We're a sub-award grantee through White Earth. And it's the state opioid response dollars, which should have ended on September 30th, 2020. But due to COVID, DHS worked with other agencies. And so we were given an extension for it. So the new contract end date would be September 29th, 2021. And so within this amendment, they are giving us an additional $39,725. So the total amount is $399,725.
Any questions for Pam on this? This is a collaboration, I believe, with the White Earth, Red Lake, Mille Lacs, Fond du Lac, and Leech Lake, Pam?
Yes, it's through with Minnesota Tribal Collaborative.
Okay. I'm glad they're allowing an extension just due to the pandemic and
Yes.
everything. So any questions for Pam on this? Nope. Okay, if not, I'll call for a motion to approve the SOAR amendment.
Move.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Great job.
Thanks,
Pam.
everyone.
Great job.
Job, Pam.
Great job, Pam. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, next we have Kim. I know she was on another call too with some health stuff there. So, but I don't know if Ed, is she in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning, Kim.
Good morning. I have the resolution for the food shelf building supplies, for the shelving and the equipment and the generator. It's out of the U.S. CARES Act. A lot of this stuff out of the CARES Act, we have to have the resolutions and the need documented. So this is the building we're building in Nett Lake to help with the food shortage and keep people at home. The cost to date so far for the supplies is, because that isn't in there, I will have to check with Jill to see if there's any more. It's $146,419.08 so far. And I just want to double check with her in the amount of any other supplies. And that number includes the generator for that building in there too. So it was the fridge and freezers, the shelving, the shelving and the generator, and then the fencing, because it's not all a food storage building. Part of it's a dry storage building too. And I just want to double check to make sure there isn't any more costs with that for the amount. And these funds have to be spent by December 30th.
It's a rather lengthy resolution. I will not read it, but it's kind of self-explanatory. It's like a 3-page resolution. But you know, and this building that's going up out by Public Works in Nett Lake is really going to be a benefit for our tribal members, because we'll have our own food shelf on the reservation. I know that a lot of our members travel to Cook or wherever to access those services. So it'll be another service that we'll be able to provide. Plus, we always know that here at Bois Forte, whether it be Nett Lake or Vermilion, we always have a shortage of storage space. And we still will have a shortage, but not so much with regards to food. For those of you that don't know, our regular meeting room is full of boxes, and they're doing packaging of wild rice, and we have a lot of storage downstairs and all over the reservation, storing some of the food items that we're getting in and other supplies. So we do know there's a need, a huge need, but the food shelf is going to be a major benefit. So I want to commend the staff, on all the staff that have been involved with this, and all the CARES Act money, because they're really working hard to make sure that we have it related to the pandemic, but also to help meet some of the needs maybe that will carry on after the pandemic. So that works really swell. Any questions for Kim? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the resolution regarding the purchase of food shelf equipment to include the items she listed with regards to fridge, freezers, and generator, shelving, all that good stuff, miscellaneous costs, waiting areas. Do we have a motion to approve that resolution? By Shane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Chief. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, silent, motion carried. Good job, Kim.
Okay, next we have Jalen Strong he's got 4 items on the request.
Okay. Good morning, Jay.
Morning. So the first thing on the list was the 1866 thing, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is just something that we were doing in one of my tribal law classes. This is kind of more as like a community member type of thing. But so in my tribal law class, they were talking about like treaty challenges and treaty laws, I guess. And so that got me interested in like actually reading the 1866 treaty, because I mean, I've read like the 1854 a handful of times for classes, but in the 1866 treaty, it never really mentions the loss of our hunting and fishing rights. And I was just wondering if like we've ever thought about challenging that to see if we could get those. I've talked to like Phil Brodeen about it and got his thoughts on it. And then my professor, Douglas Thompson, his name is, he worked down where like the state forest is for, or the national forest is on, I think the Leech Lake tribe, like reservation. And yeah, I guess I was kind of curious if we've ever thought about challenging the 1855 ruling to get some more hunting and fishing land rights.
You know, I can't really, I'm not sure if it's been brought up in the past, and I'm sure if Mark Anderson was here, he would be able to elaborate a little bit on that. But as far as I know, I don't know. But Shane, were you going to say something?
Yes. Well, you know, when you read why they did this, why they made the 1866 treaty. Discoveries of gold have been made in that region, and the attention of whites was turned to the country, and several expeditions were fitted out for its exploration. The Indians became alarmed and excited on account of this invasion of their country, and the probability of collision between the parties made it desirable that an attempt should be made to obtain peaceful possession of the country. Now, and what happened was prospector or whatever thought he discovered gold. So it basically it was made just on that aspect. They thought they found gold, and actually he found magnetic pyrite. Okay, if it's just made on that gold, and now they say, okay, there's no gold here, so they moved away. So then they should say, well, if you look at it from an Indian standpoint or now time standpoint, does that mean that, okay, since they didn't find gold, does that remove that aspect of the treaty? You know, that's one of my interpretations, that, okay, it was just based on gold. Well, they didn't find gold, so they moved away.
Interesting. Jay, what did Phil and your professor say?
Yeah, well, I guess I was first gonna comment on like Shane's thing. That's what a lot of these towns up here actually got their start from, was they found like the what they thought was gold, and so that's where a lot of these towns started coming from. And initially, we only had a reservation, or only had like land around Lake Vermilion, and then once they found it up here, then they start pushing us towards Nett Lake, and then that's when we signed the 1866 treaty to establish more of those reservation boundaries. Phil was they kind of had conflicting issues, I guess. Phil was kind of more worried about it. Basically, his worries was that if we were to challenge and then we were to lose those court cases, we could potentially even lose like the 1854 treaty rights, just because it could be argued that the 1855 made like a, what's it called, like a correction, I guess, as to what rights they wanted the tribes signatories, like they wanted those tribes to have. And he said like he doesn't think that like he doesn't know how it would actually play out, and I think that was kind of something that I was like, well, maybe we won't have to, or we shouldn't try to challenge it, because it basically says that like we give up or we relinquish our rights to the land, but it never like really says what rights. It says any and all rights, which to me it means kind of more proprietary rights. You know, we don't have the right to sell that land anymore, or we don't have rights to like build on that land unless we like own it. And so that's how I took it. But like with my professor, we were kind of talking about it, and we thought a case could be made by like the reserved rights doctrine, and then the canons of construction of the treaty, basically saying that the canons of construction, it never actually says that we're relinquishing our hunting and fishing rights. It just says we're losing, or we are relinquishing our rights to the land. So whatever that means, you know, that
interpretation.
Yeah, so like that's not clear and concise, in which a lot of these treaties have to be in order to take a right away. And so through that, I would think that we could argue that it never says anything about hunting and fishing, so we should be able to retain those rights or like get them back, I guess. And then I guess like the reserved rights doctrine, in addition to that, basically just like improves that argument. If you guys don't know what the reserves right doctrine is, basically it's whatever is not stated in those treaties remains. And so if it's never even mentioned that we lost our hunting and fishing rights through the reserved rights doctrine, those rights remain to us today. And that would also include like the evolution of technology, I guess. So like even if we wanted to like there's a court case, I guess, that I don't know, maybe you guys might know about, because I think it was people from our tribe who went up to the boundary waters and used like a ice fishing auger and got a ticket for that, but then ended up being able to get out of the ticket because the treaty never says that we have to use the technology that was used when the treaty was made. And so basically a lot of the conservation officers have a hard time, like the only way they were able to get us in trouble is if we're like transporting to these locations where they're not allowed. So say like the national forest, we're not really allowed to drive a car in there, but we could walk in there and then use a chainsaw to, you know, make something that we might need for the whatever we're like the hunting, or if we're like snaring or something. But so anyways, my professor was saying that we could make an argument for that. He said what he would recommend doing right now would be to watch, because I think it's the Leech Lake is challenging the 1855 treaty. And so one of the ways that they're trying to do it, which is like kind of, it's like the same thing that was happening with Le Coudray, you know, back in like the 80s, whenever they were like the netting stuff was going on. Basically what they do is they have like the tribal members are going out to these treaty ceded lands and getting themselves arrested by like just hunting and fishing, you know. And so then they go to appeal those, and then they keep appealing it until it gets to the Supreme Court. And then after that, you can keep doing it. But I guess the problem that they're having right now is that the conservation officers know that they're kind of screwed in the sense that like they don't want to arrest or give a ticket to these people, because they know if they do that, then it's just more headache for them. And then eventually it's going to start this cascade and being able to actually file a lawsuit to challenge the 1855 treaty. And then they don't want it, like there was one option you can do as a tribal council, which is just to I think you can challenge it. The tribal council can challenge it straight up and go right to the Supreme Court. But they obviously don't want to do that with this current administration. And so what he recommends would be to get somebody to actually study what life would have been like, at the time of 1866, and then kind of find a reason why. Obviously Shane kind of alluded to the reason why, but what life was like basically, and all the reasons why the tribe decided to sign the 1866 treaty. And after we see how the 1855 treaty challenge turns out, then he would say that would probably be the best time to challenge it, because if they win, it'd be a lot easier for us to make an argument that we would also win.
Kind of adding on to that too is that, if I can remember correctly, reading from the American Indian Law Desk Book, that there is a federal law that says that either it's the law or the treaty must be interpreted from the standpoint of the Indians.
Yeah, that's the canons of treaty construction. Basically, what that does for us is that any challenge that happens that's kind of left up in the air without certain unreasonable doubt or whatever they call it, all of the rulings have to be made within favor of Indians, the tribes. And so I think that's what Shane's talking about too. And when you go back at those times, they talk about when they were signing these treaties, a lot of times they didn't have an interpreter, or they'd have a really poor interpreter. And instead of signing your name, they just said put an X right here.
Yep.
And so if you ever look at the 1855 treaty or 1854 treaty, you can go on there and you'll have all the chiefs that signed it, but then they'll just have an X by their name. To show that they were in agreement, which really they didn't completely understand what they were doing, but they understood what the federal government wants to do now is kind of assume that they were under the mindset that whatever isn't stated in this agreement is still going to be around today.
An example too, going off what you just said, Jalen. This would kind of be like an example. Who knows what they did with them treaties? They could have been signing something lengthy like this. They turn around, they turn in something like this, something completely different. And just to get what they wanted.
You bring up some really good points, Jay. I think that first off, I agree with about the administration. Thank God it's going to be changing here in January. But I also like to hopefully, if precedent is set with Leech Lake in their challenge with the 1855 treaty, that would open the door, I think, for Bois Forte to like you said, do that study or look at the challenge with the 1866 treaty. Because it does say, that treaties are the supreme law of the land. I think that we'll have a lot better, how can I say it, a lot better path with this new administration, it kind of gives some hope to the tribes for it, rather than what's been done in the past 4 years with regards to some tribes being just totally not allowed, but now reinstated. So there is some hope coming down, but I'm really glad you brought this up because, you know, I don't know if it's been brought up in the past, and it doesn't hurt to relook at the issue and keep our eyes out with regards to the Leech Lake Treaty, 1855 treaty case, and see what happens there, and see if we might be able to do something with 1866.
I think, you know, just one more thing is that maybe we wouldn't have to challenge the treaty itself, but rather than get an interpretation of, you know, the hunting and fishing rights and what does that all that mean? What does that all that entail? That way we're not really challenging the treaty. We're just asking for the interpretation to have them clearly spell it out, what they think it means and what we think it means.
Oh, I know that'll be different, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, Shane brings up a good point. We can get a hold of legal counsel on this also to see if we can get that interpretation, because I know it's going to be two different stories.
Yeah, and that's kind of like just kind of came across this, and it's kind of piqued my curiosity for the last probably month or so, and I've been really kind of looking into it. And that's why my professor is saying like maybe we would have to like either contract somebody or hire somebody to be able to go back and look through that and kind of study how everything would be, how things were back then when we were signing this. The one thing that he said was that we would, if we did challenge it and we were to win it, we likely would have to set up like an 1854 treaty authority, but for the 1866 treaty too. That I guess that to keep in mind if we.
Yeah.
But
interesting, very interesting. Thank you, Jay. We'll keep that on our radar, and we'll get a hold of legal and see what we can see what we can go forward with this. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I think we should probably get a hold of legal, and then I think another one good contact would be Phil Rodin.
Yeah.
Because I know the tribal council asked Mark about this several years ago, and Mark said that at the time, I was trying to look for that documentation, but I don't have it on my desk. But I know that they had a file of it down at his office, and he told us that we couldn't because at the time when they were Bois Forte to be part of the 1854 agreement, we had to sign, we had to give up our rights and stuff to the 1866, and that's on file. But again, that's something that we probably could relook at again and have our legal people look, and then see if there's any way that we can go back and reopen that up, and because I think that I always thought that we had rights still. We shouldn't exercise our rights in 1866. Like I said, Jay brought that up, and I'm glad you brought that up, Jay. And I think maybe that's something that we should look into. And then, like I said, you could get a hold of Jeff and have him get out that file that Mark was working on or gave us back then. And I can't remember what year that was. It had to be in the 90s, I think, when we talked to him about it. And but again, another one, like I said, Phil Brodeen would probably have some your ideas on how we could go about that too. So
yeah, Phil was saying that like that was another thing that he was thinking of, is that we had some other agreement that was signed, basically that kind of I guess what Dave was saying is that like we relinquished our rights in the 1866 treaty so that we can keep the 1854 treaty. I kept looking, I could look it up, but I'd never found it. And I asked like my dad and Bridget Burr's mom, Carol. And I couldn't, they didn't know about it either. So Phil would probably know a little bit more, or the legal department might know if we did sign any of those agreements.
Yeah, because well, Shane was right. I mean, when they were, a lot of them back then, they were just those chiefs didn't know to write their names, but they just put your X here, and that's what. And if you go and look at some of those treaties, that's where that's what it is, just an X, and then it has the name of the chief. And, so it kind of they took advantage of our people back then. So I think we should. I think we should relook at that and see what maybe we could do, and that's a big area that would open up for our band members. So
yeah, doesn't hurt to look.
Yeah,
doesn't hurt to do the research and see, because the other thing is that, and I'm not saying it's happened, I don't think it has, but like with the Leech Lake issue, there may be cases coming up or in the past that have happened since the 90s or whenever, that might, help in these areas. So we'll do that, Jay. Thank you.
Okay, cool. And then the next thing I had on the agenda was this SPLE, which is like this, or STLE. So it's a school trust land exchange. Basically, an overview of what that is that the Superior National Forest and the Minnesota National Forest, I think, they're exchanging lands, and it's kind of sporadic. I can probably get you guys like a map of where those lands are, but the goal of like the Superior National Forest, what they want to do is get more land kind of added to the boundary waters. And then Minnesota, like DNR, I guess, is they're wanting to exchange land. I think it's probably due to potential like mineral rights, I guess, is what it seems like to me. And the acreages for each of them, I think it's the Superior National Forest is going to give up 30,000 acres, and then the Minnesota state is going to get 31,000 acres. And I think the reasoning behind that is that they did some surveying of like the lands in the area, and this was something that I kind of hopped on right when I got hired last year. And one of the biggest issues that we were kind of arguing was that, like, a lot of times, a lot of these outside organizations don't always see, they almost never see a lot of these tribal properties or cultural properties in the same light that we do. I think last time I was on, the example that I gave, this is the one that I like to give the most, is that like a maple tree or even rice beds, for instance. Yeah. An outside organization might look at a maple tree and be like, well, 10,000 of these is worth like $4 a piece. But for us, if we have 1,000 maple trees, we can get so much, we can get pretty much an unlimited supply of maple syrup from those year after year after year. And that can be used to sustain us in a variety of ways, not even just for like monetarily, but for survival, for cultural purposes, for gifts. All that stuff can be used. And so like the value of those maple trees are unquantifiable compared to what these outside organizations are doing. And so that's like where the acreage sizes are like different, but the monetary size from the Chimokmon perspective, I guess, is different. And this is kind of like, I'm not gonna have you guys sign it right now. This is kind of more to put it on you guys' radar. And I think either probably within the next month, I might have you guys sign it. But the Superior National Forest is currently in the process of surveying all of the Minnesota state lands and I think most, like probably last time we had a meeting about it, it was probably, they're probably 80 to 85% done with their lands too. Basically what they're checking for is the probability of finding historical property. So if that's like arrowheads, or if that's like human like remains, or if that's like just general locations of where a lot of the natives might have been prior to having these towns and reservations and everything, to kind of prevent that. Because if they do, or whenever they do switch lands, and if the state decides to start developing these properties, we have a lot less say than if it's on federal lands, and that's mainly due to the jurisdictional issues, I guess, and like the Section 106 process that mainly the TIPO works under is really only applicable to federal projects and federal lands, and that's a lot of times why we have a lot of issues and why we don't have as much say in like a lot of these bigger projects that go on that is not on federal lands. So I guess that's what this document is kind of overviewing why they're going to be swapping lands, why who is involved, which is like, I think it's up to 19 tribes, and it's more than just the Minnesota tribes.
I see that.
A lot of ancestral lands. And so like for those instances, like why we do that is because like a lot of these tribes still have oral stories that can be traced back to the area. And so like the biggest issue for me, because they're not really developing any land right now, is that whenever they start to, because that's always the biggest thing, you know, is how can somebody else make money off of our lands, basically. But what happens if they find any cultural properties? What happens then? So then that's outlined in there too, is basically if it's found on Minnesota lands, it has to go to MIAC, and apparently MIAC hasn't been the most helpful in repatriating and whatnot for us. But as far as who has the most say, I'd have to read it again, but I think it outlines the 1854 main tribes as like they have the largest say. So that's, you know, Grand Portage, us, and Fond du Lac.
Jay, what happens if we don't sign this agreement?
I think if we don't sign it, then we just kind of get
thrown off to the side.
Yeah, basically is what it seems like, because there's so many other tribes that are going to be signing on that they'll be like, all right, well, we'll still give them an opportunity to say, but we're not, or to say what happens with like these remains, or what we should do, or what we should avoid. Then they might not, I don't know, have as much of a pressing need to consult with us.
So they'll probably say, we reached out to consult with you. We invited you to, because I've seen this one whereas where it said 1854 Authority and Great Lakes Game and Fish and Wildlife Commission were invited to consult on the development of this PA. In the 1854 Treaty Authority participated in consulting. Let's see here. And then the SFA pertinent to 36 CFR 800.0 or 0.2 C5, however, declined an invitation to sign this PA as a concurrent party. What they probably saw is, we try to consult with you, you didn't want to participate, so we're going to move forward. Because, we wanted you to participate or consult and ask what your thoughts were. And now they're going to move forward. I mean, that's what they always do. I mean, It's the
Well,
way they,
I think that, you know, that,
like Jay said, you know, I mean, to them, all they see is, you know, when he's talking about the maple tree, all they probably see is just a tree. I mean, cut it down. Where the maple tree, it's a kind of a medicine to us. It's a healing medicine. You know, it's something that that means a lot to our culture, and but that's something that we're kind of losing, because Norman Deschamps's daughter Sarah, she does a maple sugar up in Grand Portage, and I got a sample of her syrup, and geez, that was really good, and we ate it right away because we had it on pancakes and French toast and stuff like that. But maybe that's something that maybe we could have Jay look at, maybe doing another maple sugar camp so people could learn. Because I remember when I was a boy growing up, when I was in high school, and we used to go to the school in the morning, and I remember my grandma Angeline, Jean's mother Helen, they call her Gamat, and I'm not sure if Shane's grandma was there or not. Jessie. It was 4 women. I can't remember who the other 2 were. I remember my grandma and Gamat were there, and they'd always be between those two gravel pits by that the county has out there, and then 7 Mile Corner. And we drive by there, and those ladies, you could see them working back there. And we drive by, and you could see the smoke and everything that they were boiling their sap. And when we come home from school, we'd come by there about 4 o'clock. They'd still be you'd still see them back there working, and they really did put a lot of hard work into that, and that's one thing I wish I would have done now when I was a boy growing up, was go back there and learn that from my grandmother. And so I kind of kicked myself in the butt for not able to learn that from that teaching from them ladies. But as Jay was talking about the maple sugar, and that just brought back memories of that. And that's one thing that I would like to try to see us establish again, and start using that area between those gravel pits in 7 Mile Corner for there's always a lot of maple trees back there in that area. So before somebody goes back there and it cuts that all down. But again, with getting back to Jay, maybe that's another thing that we should look at is have our attorneys look at seeing what we can do for this land exchange that they always do. And I know they do that with the schools a lot, it seems like, and kind of like we get left out of the picture because, well, that's land that's within the 1854, and then like I said, then Jay brought up the 1866. How much, and we don't even hear about that because we only hear we only get the information on 1854. So, but like I said, Jay brought up a good idea about you're looking into 1866, and I think we should move forward and look and see what we could do to get some rights or something back, because it's just pitiful that the way they treated our Native Americans back then, and continue that. And then we always got to re-educate everybody, because there's new people that come into office and new people that get hired in those departments, and we always got to re-educate them about who we are and what we are and where we come from and what the land and the natural resources mean to us as Native Americans. I'll get off my high chair here and get back to our meeting here. So, but again, I just had to vent for a little bit, I guess.
Jane, were you going to say something?
Yes. Getting back to this consultation, it seems like we're being forced into this. it's supposed to be government to government. And if we're going to be forced into consulting, it seems like we're going to be down here. They're going to be up here. You know, and what is the purpose of consulting? You know, and if we don't consult, oh, then we're going to do this. I mean, that's not right. You know, getting back to the land swapping thing between the two entities in the 1854 area, they're swapping lands. I understand what they're doing, you know, but they're forgetting about us. That land that's on the outskirts of the boundary waters, that's land that we can go and hunt and fish on. But once they swamp it, we gotta abide by what they want. So that's basically limiting our treaty rights. And I understand the intent behind it, but they got to take us into consideration as well. You know, one of the stories that we have in the Drift family that my grandma told me was that there was a Wendigo story that happened up there by Ely that way. You know, and you know, we have ties to that area, strong ties. You know, and I'd just like to point that out. You know, that one of the areas where we settled at one time, or people settled at one time, then moved down to here, Nett Lake, Bois Forte. So I just wanted to share that.
You know, I agree with the consultation process, and I'm looking at this agreement, and I really think that maybe what we should do is get a meeting with the DNR and U.S. Forest Service and the 1854 tribes. But I also see other tribes like I see Kevin Jensvold, Chairman Jensvold from the Sioux tribe on here also for signatory. So it's not just like you said, the 1854 tribes. There's a lot of tribes in this list, even Bad River. Kevin is from Upper Sioux. It involves a lot of tribes. So maybe what we should do is do some consultation on this. And I agree. I understand like what Shane says about the school trust land exchange project. But, you know, the other thing is that we traveled throughout these lands as a people and became, you know, that's how we were. And our hunting, our fishing and all that is in there. But maybe the consultation needs to happen with regards to that. So they understand the importance of those lands to the tribes here in Minnesota and Wisconsin. So thanks for bringing that, Jay. Maybe what we'll do is we'll try set up. Are they working with the TIPOs too? Have they talked to the TIPOs on this?
Yeah, that's primarily who they're contacting through, like the tribes through the TIPOs, and then otherwise their cultural departments.
Research. Okay.
Yeah, resource departments.
We'll see if we can get something put together.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good. The next thing that I had was the stuff with the Bureau of Land Management stuff.
Okay.
That's kind of more like Twin Metals again, with their MOU. So I did end up, I don't know if you guys talked to Grand Portage or Fond du Lac, but I got in contact with their water quality specialists, and they said they're going to be signing on this MOU as consulting parties.
Okay.
This MOU is basically outlining the process that the Bureau of Land Management is going to be going through and what procedures they should have to do for like their environmental impact survey for the Twin Metals like projected area up near the boundary waters. The reason we would the reason we would sign on it basically is because we have one water quality specialist and we have one main DNR person that would potentially work, you know, obviously just Tara and Doc, and then myself and I don't feel personally knowledgeable in a lot of like the water quality, air quality jargon that is kind of used a lot. And so we have some say, but not as much as if we were a non-consulting party. and we have like, so we get access to their data, which that's been, again, like that last time was kind of like a big thing because Twin Metals hasn't really even shared any, like they haven't shared any of their data at all. Like they've said they were going to, and then they sent us a list of the things that they have data on, but never actually sent the raw data, which, I mean, to me, I would have to go to Doc to see about, or to get like, to have him walk me through it. But like the Margaret Watkins, she would be able to learn a lot more about what is actually going on through the water there, and kind of talk about that. And then the reason for not being a consulting party is we have like we have more say in what actually happens with the environmental impact survey for that land, but we have to do a lot more work instead. So that would be, you know, getting our own data, running our own tests, being able to kind of use our own machines basically and personnel to organize the data and kind of make, I guess, your judgments about that. And that's why I said in the last meeting that it'd be smart to get in touch with Grand Portage, because obviously with 3 people, we probably wouldn't be able to cover the entire land and all the data that we would need to properly make our input on an environmental impact survey, which is trying to be done within the next year, which is it's not, from what I've heard, it takes about 5 years to do an EIS, and they're trying to do it in like a year and a half. And most of this is because of the administration. And it seems more so that way. I mean, I don't mean to get super political, but apparently a lot of times for like a lot of these projects, things kind of stop for a month or two, at least if there's a change of power. And so far it hasn't really slowed down. And so I can tell that they're getting kind of pushed from the top to kind of get this going. And I don't think it's right, personally.
I think that.
Oh, go ahead, Shane.
I think that we don't need to sign this right away, do we?
No.
I think that we should. What I was going to say is that I think we should wait and hold off until the new administration takes over, because if we sign on to this now while Trump's still in office, then when the new president comes in, they could say, "Hey, look, they're supporting this now," and use it against us.
Right.
You know, then if Biden gets in there, when he does get in there, and if they don't want to do this.
If that's what you guys want to do, that would actually be kind of a smart move. We also do have the capability of terminating the MOU whenever we want. So that, from when I've talked to, when I got on the phone with Margaret, she said that's kind of Grand Portage's plan, is that they probably will sign on. She said they're 90% sure that they're going to sign on as consulting parties, and same with in Fond du Lac. Nancy said that they're most likely going to sign on as consulting parties, but then if their needs and the trust responsibility that the Bureau of Land Management is not met, then they are going to be terminating the MOU and proceeding as a non-consulting party. But I do like Shane's idea.
You know, the agreement does say that the Bureau of Land Management and the tribes will strive to reach consensus in all decisions, actions, and processes contemplated by the MOU. And it basically says that the goals of this agreement between, if we do sign, and Fond du Lac and Grand Portage and BLM sign, is to evaluate the proposed project in accordance with NEPA. And then here's that data part: collaboratively identify data gaps, and other information necessary to make project-related regulatory decisions. And then it says to objectively identify, examine, and analyze the potential impacts to treaty reserved resources and other environmental, cultural, social, and economic impacts of the proposed project. And 2 reasonable alternatives to avoid, minimize, and or mitigate the adverse impacts plus ensure public involvement in the preparation and review of the EIS. For them to, for the administration to try to push an EIS within a year is really very unreasonable, you know, but the other thing is I really do think we need to have access to that data because we don't have it and we don't have the staffing. Like, I really believe there's powers in numbers, but is there a timeline on signing this thing, Jay?
Not really. From the last call, I think was it was last week actually on Wednesday. It's usually every other week on Wednesdays.
Oh, okay.
As far as I know, none of the other tribes have signed on, and this would include Grand Portage, Fond du Lac, us, Bad River. I think LCO's been on there times, and then I think Leech Lake or someone has also been on.
Okay.
And so, as far as I know, none of the other tribes have signed. The MOU goes till 2025, so we have theoretically have plenty of time to be able to just.
Yeah, I think we need to take a look at this closely. But, you know, we do have the option to pull out, but the other thing is we need the data. And, you know, if Twin Metals isn't sharing any data and they give it to the Bureau of Land Management and we're not part of that MOU, then we can't get that data.
Yeah, that's the big. That's
the flip side.
Yep, that's one of the biggest issues that we have right now is that Twin Metals is basically treating tribes as the same thing as the rest of the public, which obviously, you know, we're obviously a sovereign nation. We are technically legally above them because they're a private corporation and we're right, you know, second in, I guess, command, I guess, to the federal government. So we should be able to, I don't know, ask for pretty much whatever we'd like.
We should.
Yeah. And so this is I guess was just again to make you guys aware, because I think I tried to get on the last meeting, and then it wasn't able to go through our legal department, and so then we had to kind of pull it for that meeting.
I think that we should add this on to the 1854 meeting.
I was going to say that too. Yeah. Yeah, we'll discuss it at 1854. We'll get a hold of Sunny too. So, but we'll do that, Jay, and then we'll take a look at this and move forward with that and see if we're going to sign it or not. So,
okay.
Now, I guess, you know, just without even, you know, to get the data is the one thing I want to make sure that we get, because sometimes their data isn't right. And I really trust the tribe's data more than the state's data, you know, because ours is usually better data.
Yeah, and then I guess just to make that council aware of this, I don't know if, I think I brought it up at the last meeting, but we found some pictographs up where the tailings basins is supposed to go. And so if you guys don't know what tailings basins are, when you're driving through Virginia and you see all those big stacks of rocks, that's all the tailings that come from, that's basically the waste of all the mining that happens. And so originally they were planning on putting that in that area. We found some pictographs. I don't have any pictures of it, but I could request from the 106 group to they copied it by drawing, by freehand or whatever. I told them that they shouldn't take any pictures of it because that's a cultural importance, a culturally important site. We also had Vern Adams walk out there with us. We did a ceremony out there and it's actually pretty amazing. He was able to kind of, the spirits told him what the pictographs were and what they were doing there. And there's probably 4 of them. One of them is he said that he was told that it was a map of the rivers and stuff where when the water levels were a lot higher. It was a map of like where the rivers go. The second one was like the Adesukan of basically of a male spirit, and then the other two was a story of two families. One of them was like this bigger lead family, and the other one was telling the story of how the second smaller family was tagging along with them.
Where were those found, Jay?
Those were found kind of it's probably like, if you look on Google Maps, it's probably 2 miles south of White Iron Lake, and then probably like I think it's like 8 to 12 miles east of Ely, like the city of Ely.
Wow, interesting.
It's a kind of a far walk in the woods. It's not the easiest thing to do. It's probably about a mile or two back from the actual road. And I can when I ask for that, I'll ask for their plot points on their GPS where they found them. Where I'm going to be in the process pretty soon. Like, I'm going to be making a call to the SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Officer, to see what the possibilities of getting that listed as a historical property, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, historical site. Yeah.
Yep.
And that would essentially be able to protect that area. And then we would obviously be consulted more so on how we want to proceed with it. Like, if we want people to have access, which I think we should, because that's one of our cultural properties. I don't think anybody should have access to it, but I think our people should have access.
Just makes you think how many other sites are out there that we're not aware of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, it's really interesting that these graphs and stuff like that, these pictures stuff are starting to show up now. We're starting to find them now. And there's a reason why. And maybe it's to stop this mining stuff that's going on. That place is supposed to be sacred. And all this mining stuff is going to contaminate and pollute it.
Yeah. And then even on the way out, there was on the way in and out there, the whole place is a mashkig, and so it's really just like a place where like a lot of like medicinal plants are growing. There's like, it's all kind of like swampy, and you can definitely tell that there was like rivers that were running through. And I think, obviously that's what the one pictograph was talking about, was how the water levels have changed throughout the years. Vern was saying that if he were to guess, or he said that he was 90 to 95% sure that those pictographs were put there before Minnesota was even a state. And so that's how old these were, and that's where those water levels were back in those times. And basically it really, really makes you want to do everything you can to protect those areas, like Shane was saying, that they're showing up now, or finding them now. It's not, as, and Gene will say too, as Anishinaabe people, we don't believe in coincidences.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Very interesting, Jay.
Yeah.
I would get a hold of the SHPO office, like you're gonna.
Yeah.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah.
Hey, do you have all this stuff written down and mapped, or where it's mapped out and stuff like that, so you have a record of it? Or
So 106 group has a record of where it's at, and Kyle, as part of his what's it called? As part of his agreement with the band, he has some reports that are made by it, and he has, like, throughout his entire time as the tribal monitor, he had to do daily reports and then compile them into weekly reports, and then he has them on his computer. So we have them. We have record of it.
So do we want to table this MOU with the
Yeah,
BLM?
we'll just wait on that and see. We need to get together too with 1854.
Okay. And then the last thing that I had on the agenda was I was gonna recommend sending a letter to the EPA regional administrator in regards to Minnesota pollution control agency and their lack of writing up a 303D report. And so what a 303D report is based from the letter is what I've kind of gathered from it. I haven't been able to really look it up too much, but what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to be finding a list and creating a list of all the waterbed or wild water beds, regardless of if it's a lake or if it's a river, and then submitting that to the tribes to see how accurate that is, and then eventually using that list as kind of like a protecting guideline for like a lot of these projects that go on. So, and I don't know when this came up. I think it was, I feel like it was a number of years ago, before I was, oh yeah, so 2016 and 2018 and 2019, they had some list, but they haven't submitted this yet this year. And I think they were supposed to do that at the beginning of the year. I was kind of backlogged on my email, so wasn't able to see this until later, but all the other tribes except for us, as far as I know, have submitted an email or a letter requesting the EPA regional manager, I guess, regional administrator to basically kind of come down on the MPCA on submitting that list.
Yeah, this is the wild rice waters designation that, there's been tribal consultation with the state that, and since 2016, like you mentioned, Jay, for those 3 dates, and basically nothing's come of it. And, it's to the point where the tribes are somewhat tired of consulting with MPCA because it's falling on deaf ears. They're not doing anything and not listing the impaired wild rice waters, because what the tribes feel is the list is way more than what the state wants to submit. And so, I think this is a good way to send it right to the top instead of dealing with the state. Is let's go right to the EPA itself. So I'm in support of getting our own letter out to the regional administrator of the EPA. Guys? Yeah?
Yeah, I support that.
Yep, I'm on board with that.
That'd be a good idea.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve then a letter to be sent to the EPA regional administrator in regards to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency not adhering to the wild rice waters designation as proposed by the tribes?
Move.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors, no. Shane, moved by Shane and seconded by Chief. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, silent, motion carried. We'll get that letter out, Jay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you,
discussion
Dave.
today. It's very enlightening and educational.
Do we need a motion to table the MOU one?
Yeah, we can do that too. Let's do a motion to table the MOU for the Bureau of Land Management until we can have discussion with 1854.
Move.
Moved by Shane to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Okay. Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, J-Bo.
Thank you, Dave.
Have a good day.
Good job, Jay.
Okay, next we got Edison Watt with a timber harvest plan. Edison.
Morning, Edison. There he is.
Got me?
Good morning. Yep. We did.
There we go.
There you go. Good morning.
I was getting a little worried there. I haven't been on Zoom as much as all you have, so I was trying to figure out how to get here to talk and stuff. So I'm glad I got it done. I have a Bois Forte tribal resolution for timber harvest 2020 to 2021. I'm not sure if Tara forwarded this document to anybody.
Yep. We have the plan in front of us. Yes.
Perfect. If you guys take a look at that, the first 20 sales have already been approved on past harvest plans. The only additional ones would be the bottom three: allotment 522, allotment 522A, and allotment 486. All these sales are allotment and all these sales are allotment. Aspen and black spruce would be the primary cover type, with some mixed hardwoods in there. The cord equivalent is listed right next door. That isn't the amount to be harvested. That's the amount that was estimated volume in the sale. So just to make that distinction. Just to give a little bit more information on where these are and what that kind of entails, just so you guys have a little bit of a clue. Allotment 522 and 522A are located 3 miles down Sucker Trail in Section 7, Township 64, Range 22, Couchiching County. The subdivisions of those would be Lot 3 and then southwest quarter. So that's kind of the location of 522 and 522A. 486 is located on Sucker Trail, about Wood Duck Road, excuse me, a quarter mile north of Wood Duck Road, 3 miles northwest of the lake of Nett Lake. Like I said, these are aspen, black spruce sales. They'll be clear cut with reserves. For 522 and 522A, there's a combined 74 acres that was inspected and all that. And then there was 66 acres that would be harvested, the rest being reserves, RMZs. 486 is a 80-acre parcel with 46 acres to be harvested, and the rest will be reserve and other stuff. And as the FOR circulates around, there'll be more information on the exact sale data and stuff like that. So does anybody have any questions or anything?
No, very good explanation.
Awesome.
Any questions, guys, on the 2021 timber harvest plan? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the plan submitted by Edison?
Move.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, silent, motion carried. Great job, Edison. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. You have a good rest of your day.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
Zoom.
Yeah, Eddie. Then next we have Dan Milbridge with Wellness Center pricing.
Morning, Dan.
Good morning. I'm kind of multitasking. I've got an IHS meeting from 8:30 to 3, but I was able to catch on. This is just for that. We talked about the expansion or the remodeling of the Vermilion Fitness Center to accommodate a physical therapy suite, and the price is finally came in. So I said I would bring that back to the council, and this is it's slightly over budget for the Vermilion Center, but we were under budget with the Nett Lake projects. So all in all, it's all coming in within budget. These are all COVID dollars.
Okay. And Dan, if we approve this pricing here, will that lock those prices in then? Because I've heard that construction costs are really skyrocketing since the pandemic.
This accounts for an increase in the bid due to material increases.
That's what I was gonna say,
It's
okay.
all, should be all inclusive.
Okay. Yeah, everything seems to be, a lot of projects are going up in costs that were funded last year because of supply and demand, let's put it that way.
So, Dan, you, see two prices on here. Are you going with the 30,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Any questions for Dan on this? Probably it'll go up in cost by the time we approve it.
Well, Andy's
I'm
waiting
kidding.
for approval so we can give so that contractors can order stuff.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, just went up a little bit more.
Yeah.
I see there's 3 more cents on there now.
Any questions for Dan?
And basically, the one who got it was the company that's listed on here, Max Gray?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, if no other questions, do we have a motion to approve the wellness center pricing? Is that in the amount of $30,000? Is that 32.5?
It's
Total price is 30,000. Okay.
and 3 cents.
Oh yeah, and it's 3 cents. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve that?
Move.
Moved by Chief. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, silent, motion carried. There you go, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Good job. Okay, Rob, we're done, right?
Yeah, that's all I got on the agenda right now.
Okay, all right. Well, hopefully everybody stays safe. Practice your mask wearing, social distancing, and be safe. Have a good day, everybody. Motion
Enjoy
to
your day.
adjourn. Motion
Move.
to adjourn. Moved by Chief. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for coming and listening.